Good evening, everyone. We've got a massive game for you here in Western Sydney from the League One men's competition. Possibly for both these respective teams. Sorry about that, everyone. False start here, but anyway. There's the whistle. Right on cue. Away we go. Eric Subihano here on the mic from Cook Park in St Mary's for the League One men's match of the round. Thanks for joining us here on the Football New South Wales YouTube page, and apologies for the technical issues right at the start of the broadcast. It's Nepean FC versus Dulwich Hill in what is a massive game, possibly the biggest game that these two teams will face this season as the battle for survival really gains in intensity over the remaining 7 rounds here in the men's second tier of competition in New South Wales. For those of you less familiar with the two teams, traditional colours for both, red and white for Nepean FC, and the blue and yellow for Dulwich Hill. And if under 20s games are any guides, then we should be in for a thrilling one that goes right down to the end. That sound you might be able to hear through our effects mics. It's the sound of the celebrating Dulwich Hill under-20s team who scored a very late goal in the 20s game played just before this one, winning by 2-1. Let's briefly go through the starting lineups. So firstly, for Nepean, in goal, number 1, Brendan Allen, and then the rest of their lineup. Number 2, Marcella Martellotta. Number 5, Mason Ingram. Number 9, Harrison Fox. Number 10, Matthew Crossley. Number 18, Kamran Kayumi. Number 24, Darcy Elam. Number 26, Kai Soers. Number 27, Andre Cavallaro. Number 31, Richard Stewart. And number 41, Andrew Holder. Nepean are coached by Steve Appleby. As there's an aerial challenge right on the far side. Of course, we'll do our best to spot things at the far side of the ground as that runs out for a throw-in. Just a reminder, once again, that the camera zooms in, but my eyes do not, as that's slammed into a Nepean player and then played away by Dulwich Hill. Now, that Dulwich Hill lineup, in goal, number 1, Jerome Narayan. Then there's number 3, Mikaya Terata. Number 5, Jonathan Green. Number 6, Daniel Padawani. Number 9, Mark Eunice. Number 11, Harry Browl. Number 12, Domenico Tripodi. Number 13, Dylan Larmore. Number 19, Zachary Fielding. Number 20, Jake Bradshaw. And number 25, James Duvchevsky. Dulwich Hill, coached by Tony Valavanis. So I mentioned the battle for survival, and I'm sure most of you will be aware of the rules for who gets to stay in League One men's for the 2025 season. Can you believe that we're already near the end of the campaign? And it feels like only last week that New South Wales competitions were kicking off in weather rather a bit warmer than what we have this evening, as that is an incredible long throw from Marcella Martellotta, and I'm sure Nepean will be looking to use this as often as possible, like possibly right now. Actually, I was wondering, because Martellotta surely can reach the box from that position, as it swung in instead and away. But yes, Martellotta showing he's got a little bit of the Megan Campbell about him. Very prodigious long throw from the Nepean right back. As speaking of prodigious, that is a booming kick from Narayan, the Dulwich Hill shot stopper. A bounce, and then that's Richard Stewart heading back to the keeper, Brendan Allen. And yes, those rules for survival. And by the way, shout out to the Football New South Wales Competitions Department, who have changed their tune from recent season to actually feel rather a bit more comfortable than they used to be with direct references to promotion and relegation. But in League One men's, and what concerns these two teams at the bottom of the table, the bottom place, the bottom out of 16, which is currently Nepean, will move down to League 2 men's for next season, while second last in 15th. That is currently Dunbar Rovers, by the way, as Dulwich Hill attack down the right-hand side. And it's going to be the first quarter of the game going to the visitors, but second last in League One men's will have a two-legged promotion relegation playoff with the second place team in League 2 to earn a League One men's place for 2025. And for what it's worth, Dulwich Hill entering this game in 14th position, 4 points ahead of their opponents and only 1 place above that promotion relegation spot. So in-swinger coming up for the visitors. They'll all start their runs from deeper and aimed at the near post, a good header away. Now, long-range shot, I think that's Tripodi, And it takes a deflection, which I think could have favoured Dulwich Hill, but the flag is up for offside. By the way, shout out to the third team, the match officials, without whom no game of organised football could be played. So in the centre with the whistle is Nicholas Farmer. Assistant closest to us is Jack Kelly. The assistant on the far side is Oliver Leonforde. And I'm just looking at the folk around me in the stand here at Cook Park, and of course, do like specifying that we're in St Mary's. If you're familiar with the state leagues, you'll know there's 2 Cook Parks. One in St Mary's and one in Mount Pritchard. The one in Mount Pritchard being the home of Mounties, currently in League 2. As there's a strong run down the near side and a good first touch from Mark Eunice. But yes, always important to go to the right Cook Park. We've all gone to the wrong one, or we know someone who has. Played backwards to Green. Green slams that into the defender. And it's Darcy Ellum blocking the ball into the middle. Now, we've seen a long throw already from Marcelo Martalotta, nearest to us. And as a unashamed long throw enthusiast, I'm now wondering if Dulwich Hill have someone with similar abilities. It will be Green to take the throw in. Yeah, yes they do. Good to know. And it's sliced behind for a corner. Second corner of the evening coming up. By the way, I'm not sure what exactly you can see through the cameras, but yeah, I will do my best with the red numbers on the yellow part of the Dulwich Hill kit as Tripodi moves across to take this corner kick. But yes, it's a real commentator bugbear about skinny numbers that don't contrast with the kit. It looks nice up close, but it's a bit tricky when the Dulwich Hill players are at the far side of the field. And, well, okay. Well, we always get this at least once a game, and this time we didn't even get 7 minutes before there's some shenanigans at a set piece, which Nicholas Farmer has to sort out. So clearly, we see a lot of crowding the 6-yard box at set pieces these days. Dulwich Hill taking the opposite approach. In-swingers, yes, but players starting their runs from deeper. Aim near post. That's behind, but that's already corner number 3 for the visitors. By the way, just a quick shout out to anyone who loves multi-screening, just like me, and because there is another Football New South Wales stream on this evening. It's the first of the NPL men's streams for this weekend up at the home of football in the Northern Beaches, Cromer Park. Manly United versus Marconi Stallions, called by Pretty Boy Alexander Molchanov. As Tripodi signals, good delivery, and the header is in, and Dulwich Hill have struck first. That's a big, big goal, and Tripodi's corner right on the money. Player ended up being free, and almost a stooping header. He was a tall lad, and he adjusted his body well and made the space. And Dulwich Hill strike first. And the set piece has worked wonders for the visitors. Nepean FC 0, Dulwich Hill 1. As I'm acknowledging, I am not quite sure yet who has scored that. My apologies. I'm keeping an eye on that goal scorer till I can see the shirt number. But it's, as is normal, the set piece is a bit crowded. Didn't quite see it at the first time of asking. Now I've got to keep an eye. Yep, so that would be number 3, Mikaya Terata. Who's come up big. The big man at the back coming up big with the set pieces. That's, clearance slammed to the keeper, and now it could be a chance here. And it's a penalty for Dulwich Hill. As the clearance was charged down, the second player running in has been fouled by Brendan Allen, and Dulwich Hill a wonderful chance to double their lead. We haven't even had 10 minutes played. I think there was a card shown to Brendan Allen as well, of course. Even if the decision by Nicholas Farmer was denial of a clear goal-scoring opportunity, it was in the box, so that could only ever have been a yellow. So the small crumb of comfort for the home side is that Brendan Allen stays on the field. And now it is the man who set up the first goal this evening, very quickly, with a chance to make it 2-0. And, well, there we go. So, as a card also going to number 18, Kamran Kayumi, for what I believe the laws of the game refer to as dissent by word or action. And for what it's worth, I think Brendan Allen, well, it's not denial of the clear goal scoring opportunity. I think it's just the general Y1 for unsportsmanlike behavior. That's what Brendan Allen has picked up. Anyway, here's Tripodi. And he smashes it in. Dulwich Hill are loving life. They've doubled their delight here at Cook Park. 2 goals in the opening 10 minutes. And Tripodi, some spot kick takers like to go for placement. Tripodi taking the exact opposite approach. He hit it as hard as he possibly could. Brendan Allen had no chance. And it's Nepean FC 0. Dulwich Hill 2. Early moment to take our breath, and certainly the hosts need to take a breather as well, because it has been a wonderful start for Dulwich Hill at a time when they needed it most. Look at the table. They went into this game only 4 points off the automatic relegation spot. Only 3 points off the promotion relegation playoff spot. That is second last. It's a start. Even if Tony Valavanis is an extremely optimistic person, even he may not have dreamed that his team would have the first 10 minutes go like this. Touch backwards by Brow. And now that's going to be another Y1. Oh, actually, my apologies. That's not going to be a Y1. What am I talking about? That's just a foul. Sorry. Apologies, everyone. I got carried away by finally reading certain parts of the laws of the game, so because I felt like, well, it might help me understand what I was commentating. Felt like the right thing to do after in my 5th season of commentary and roughly 180 games under my belt. Felt like I might actually learn something about this wonderful game that we all love. Anyway, free kick, and Martalotta, who, I mean, if he was taking a throw from this far away, he could probably reach the box. This time, the right boot is what Martalotta will use. Goes direct, and touch. Use that off. Well, also doesn't matter because the flag is up. No, that, I believe the assistant is, yeah. And he was signaling an offside, I believe, but because it was a goal kick anyway, not. They're just going to go with that instead. Shout out to Lockie France, by the way, big supporter of the Football New South Wales streams. He's listening in. Also, apologies to Lockie, I think, explaining what happens in the post after the home and away seasons in League 1 and League 2. I think it's confused him a little bit. Don't worry, I get confused as well, though, as those of you who are familiar with my commentary will know very, very well. Good flick on by Dulwich Hill. Now, well, that could be interesting. Nepean have to scramble, and they've secured possession inside the opposition penalty area, and Dulwich Hill still going. That one will not be a penalty kick. Actually, by the way, shout out to the people who had the foresight to install a scoreboard opposite us here in the stand at Cook Park. Very a simple scoreboard that does the job. My one slight bugbear is it's a countdown clock, so I have to do more maths than I ideally like during a football game. But yes, I can see we're past the 13-minute mark here at Cook Park. And if you've just joined us, a wonderful start for tonight's visitors, Dulwich Hill. They lead by 2-0 over Nepean FC. A goal in the 7th minute from Mikai Terata off a Domenico Tripodi corner. And then Tripodi doubled Dulwich Hill's lead from the penalty spot on 10 minutes. Eric Subihanu here in one of Western Sydney's most famous and charming venues, at least in a state league sense, as that's headed back to Brendan Allen. Actually, I'm loving this because this is my first time doing commentary here at Cook Park in St. Mary's. And I get to tick off this venue as that's a good header by Terata before it's cleaned up by Mason Ingram. But yes, I've ticked off the other Cook Park a couple of years ago. Now I get to tick off Nepean's home venue, and that's a handball. That's definitely not a penalty, but definitely on the edge of the box as well. And Nepean now trying to cook up some set-piece magic of their own and get back into this game. Also, shout out to long-time League One men's reporter Justin Smith. I mean, bit too much to expect him to travel here from Sutherland on a Friday night, but he is tuning in. Appreciate your support, Justin. Justin Smith, the man so much better than his predecessor in that League One men's reporting role, whoever that egomaniac was. Anyway, perfect position for the right footer. And goes straight into the wall. Straight into the wall from Kayumi. So Dulwich will survive, and then they decide... Well, I do like to say that an attacking set piece is an opportunity for both teams to score. Might have opened up on the far side, but the safety first play back to the opposition keeper is what Dulwich Hill opted for. Terata again with the header, and that'll be a throw-in on the side opposite to us. And I actually do like this position here in the stand at Cook Park, a separate area for filming, which I do like, because us media elites do love it when we get our own space, as that's retrieved, I think, by Martha Lott, who's somehow run all the way across the field, and then now the right back is running down the left wing for Nepean. I think that's Cavallaro. And then good Dulwich Hill, and actually the more forward plays for Dulwich Hill doing some defending, as it's looped up by Cavallaro. And they choose the far side again. Bit of a step over, and then it'll be just the throw-in. Let's see. As it's fired into the middle, and progress blocked on the edge of the box. Now, here's Martalotta. Oh, outside of the foot, and it through the back line, but that's going to be a straightforward one for Narayan. We do love to go around the grounds, so might as well check the trusty live score up to see what's going on up at, up. It's not actually north of here, despite what people think, over at Cromer Park. And it's currently 0-0 between Manly United and Marconi Stallions, as that's worked back by Andrew Holder, back to the keeper. And sent forward by Tarata, I think it was. And the header from Ingram. Now Dulwich Hill. Ball carrier, a little bit of space. Gets closed down. Now, visitors perhaps looking for a little bit more width. There's Green. Good. Tries to beat his player on the outside. And Darcy Ellum is having absolutely none of that. It's a good tackle. But here's Green again. Inside. Now, look promising. Attackers love it when they get to the edge of the box. That's going to end up being a goal kick. But then Zachary Fielding just ended up running into a red wall. Good team defending from Nepean. Yes, as I said, 0-0 at Cromer Park between Manly United and Marconi Stallions in tonight's NPL Men's New South Wales game. And if I'd like to think if there's multi-screeners out there, I've won the audio battle. And so you're listening to me and have the Manly Marconi stream on mute. Because an audio battle is really the only battle I could win with Alexander Molchanov. They don't call him Pretty Boy for no reason. If it was a battle based on looks, well, I'm not winning that. Not at all. Now, Martelotta sent back a couple of meters, although the way this guy can fling it, does it really matter? Here we go. Yeah, so it ended up in about the same spot it would have anyway. Tripodi gets his head to it. And sent forward. And on the chase is Larmore. And Larmore has Eunice ahead of him. That's a nice cushionetta. Kayumi, I think the midfielder dropping back to help his backline. He recognized there was a space that needed covering, and he's helped secure the ball for the hosts. Now that will be a more straightforward task for Brendan Allen. Nepean trying left side before I think that's Cavallaro looking to cut in. And Dulwich, at least initially, wise to the his attacking intent, and that was a good tackle. Looked to break quickly, and Ingram with a nice header. Now, well, it's a big chase, but not... Darcy Allen, he's quick, but wasn't quick enough to keep that in. Dulwich will throw now, right in front of us. By the way, if just thinking of Lockie, who's tuning in once again, if you're struggling a little bit with the conditions for promotion and relegation and the playoffs and whatnot, maybe don't think too much about the playoff draw for the women's Euro qualifiers. That's going to be about 9 p.m. our time, I think. As I tried to understand that, and too difficult. Very difficult to understand, as other qualifiers in general, as is the UEFA Nations League. It's all a bit much for this little brain that I have. Anyway, Richard Stewart looking at this set piece, and instead they go short. Then Stewart delivers. Nice ball to Cavallaro, who had a pocket of space, and now the rebound could break for him. Here's Andre Cavallaro. Now low into the middle, and it was by the way, good to hear there's a decent portion of travelling Dulwich Hill fans to the right of our filming position, and it's a little bit of a heart flutter as that initial clearance was, the contact wasn't right, but Jerome Narayan was right there to settle things down as that's sent down the line and out of play. Now, I mentioned one NPL men's game. Of course, like this game, you can watch all action from the men's top tier live and free on the Football New South Wales YouTube page. And there's 3 NPL men's games tomorrow, starting at 4:30 p.m. Sutherland Sharks versus Sydney FC, called by Twitch streaming expert William Constantinidis. Then at 6:30 p.m., as there's the defending there from Nepean before... you could see something from Brow, although he's been shown away from goal. Brow, so I think he tried to win the corner, but it's going to be delivered to a far post anyway. Knocked back into the middle, but Nepean have the numbers to at least get it out of the penalty area. And then another corner. So the corner count starting to mount here. Dulwich Hill's 4th of the evening as we're midway through the first half. But yes, just briefly, yes. Also, tomorrow on the Football New South Wales YouTube page, 6:30 p.m, St George City versus Western Sydney Wanderers from Penshurst Park. And then at 7 p.m. tomorrow, that's another big game in NPL Men's, Hills United versus Spirit FC, called by the clean-cut looking Dominic Crenidi. It's half of his nickname. Message me if you want to know the other half of Dominic's nickname, because I can't say it on air. Anyway, in-swinger, and headed away at the near post. Now, here we go. Forward to Cavallaro. He'll need to be the target forward and wait for runners. There's one on that far side. The runner's blocked off. At least Nepean now have the ball in Dulwich Hill's part of the field. Now, good pocket of space found there. And then blue and yellow. A lot of blue and yellow blocking the path on the edge of the box. Martelotta gets the 1-2. But then it's a good midfield press from Dulwich Hill. And then, quick thinking from Padoani to win the throw-in. Backheeling it off an opponent. It's the header, and might work out. Now, I think that was Bradshaw running in late. Off a great cross from Younes. About a half a yard too far in front of Jake Bradshaw. a man who has a lot of experience in the men's second tier of New South Wales football. A very energetic player, Jake Bradshaw. I think you can see that's why he's kept his place in this league, although I do remember him briefly, and I do remember him actually playing for quite a while, not briefly, for quite a while, Jake Bradshaw with the team that most people usually call Berries, although actually can't believe this is, I think, their 7th season, known as Canterbury Bankstown FC. I don't know, we may never get used to that. We may just call them Berries for eternity. As we pass the 25-minute mark here, Eric Subihano here on the mic from St Mary's, currently Nepean FC 0, Dulwich Hill 2, and goals from Mikai Tarata and Domenico Tripodi are what has put Dulwich Hill in a commanding position. But looking to change that, and a good tackle. Good tackle, I think that was James Duvchevsky. Had to be clean because it was definitely inside the box. And Duvchevsky was exactly that. Played back to Stewart. And Stewart going back to Ingram. Now Andrew Holder. Forward to Cavallaro. And now, well, Elam almost caught in possession. But Nepean doing well to retain the ball. Now looking forward. This is the first time that Richard Stewart's had a proper overlapping chance and thrown in a good attacking position. This time he does not have the long throw aptitude of his opposite fullback, Martalotta. And here's Cavallaro and Stewart going backwards to see the play with space. Now it goes into the middle and it's not a heading opportunity for Crossley. Safe hands from Narayan. Elam closes it down. Dulwich Hill throw, and there's a shout from Kayumi. He wants his team to squeeze the space, make it hard for Dulwich Hill to play out. Great throw from Green. When in doubt, just chuck it down the line. Green again. And header from Ingram. And then from Martalotta. Nice turn from Elam, and he's won the free kick. Martalotta again over the set piece, and I think everyone back for Dulwich Hill as Martalotta delivers the outswinger, and a couple of Dulwich Hill headers to get it out of the penalty area. Now Kayumi, and that's Soars. Now Stewart. Give a high one for Cavallaro to chase, but actually the flag goes up for offside. Yes. Well, just going back to one of those games I mentioned that's available tomorrow on the Football New South Wales YouTube page. So it's a 6:30 p.m. kickoff between St George City and the Wanderers. So the Wanderers are allowed to play at night, are they? Anyway, there's 4 NPL men's games on Sunday, which you can see on the Football New South Wales YouTube page. 3 of them are at 3 p.m. on Sunday, the 21st of July. Those being Central Coast Mariners versus Blacktown City, called by the voice of Central Coast football, Pete Pryor. There's also Wollongong Wolves versus St George FC, called by my fellow fan of Irish national teams, Dublin Dave Feeney, and Sydney United 58 versus RPL Leichhardt is the other 3 p.m. kickoff in NPL men's on Sunday. And then at 5 p.m. on Sunday the 21st, from Jubilee Stadium, Sydney Olympic versus Rockdale Illingdon, as that's boomed forward by Bradley Allen, and that 5 p.m. game on Sunday between Sydney Olympic and Rockdale. is called by the Serbian Martin Tyler, Nikola Pozder. Martalotta trying to get the backspin on it so it breaks for Elam. That's a nice ball from Martalotta. Now Elam trying to use his body up against Green. It's 1-on-3, so he'll need some support and quickly. Looking for Kayumi. Good first touch. Kayumi brings Stewart into the play. As Stewart then is stopped by a very, very nice tackle. Now Eunice furthest forward, but Nepean have the numbers, at least for now. And Dulwich. Well, it could be an interesting ball at the first touch. Not quite what was required, as Martalotta is able to leave it for Allen. Now Elam and Martalotta already charging forward on the overlap as Elam cuts inside. Elam. Cavallaro. Cavallaro, long-range shot, not allowed to get even into the box as Cavallaro keeps scrapping away for it. Gets a second opportunity, and the keeper was stationary, and the ball goes wide. Nice effort from Cavallaro. That cannot have been too far away. Past the hour mark, sorry, not yet. Past the half-hour mark here at St Mary's, with Dulwich leading by 2-0. Martalotta, one for Harrison Fox to chase. And the last touch of Terata, so Harrison Fox, well, wouldn't normally expect your tall number 9 to take attacking throw-ins, and yeah, you could tell, even from this far away, you could tell from his body language, he had zero interest in taking the throw-in. He wants to be in the middle to pounce on any chances. Instead, it's Stewart. There you go. Gets it back off Cavallaro. Then Stewart delivers. Interesting ball. And Dulwich will do enough. As Eunice, the foot in there from Andrew Holder. And it breaks, I think, for Padawani. Tripodi. And goes back to Terata. I think it was that Tripodi's voice. Just calling for players to relax. As Browl. And now the ball. It's an interesting ball. Green getting all the way forward from left back. And it's a good tackle. I think that was Andrew Holder who's prevented Green from getting into the penalty area. Green. 1-on-1 with Holder, who's been dragged out of the centre for now. And, well, there it goes. Padawani knew he was offside, so yeah, it's a little bit of a let-off for Nepean in that phase of play. Now, Allen booms it deep into Dulwich Hill territory. Therefore, that is Larmore and deciding to do likewise. The scraps break for Dulwich Hill. And room, but that's unfortunate from Browl. Controls it on the ground anyway. And then, the back heel doesn't quite work out for Browl, but, you know, it's a little lesson for all the kids out there. Like, don't let little things like that put you off, because he kept his concentration. Made the ball stick. And Browl again, but stopped by Martalotta. And then Martalotta is fouled by Fielding. I might as well give a shout out to the players on the bench. Firstly, for Dulwich Hill, the backup keeper is Justin Biega. The others are Jack Hoban, Dante Cervo, Alexander Mascioli, as that's claimed by Jerome Narayan. Yeah, but Alexander Mascioli, the other two on the Nepean bench, Rocco Cesari and Brohim Abdulmasi, with a surname like Abdulmasi. I do know Brohim has played previously in the past for SD Raiders, so I think it's a 99.9% chance that he is related to Ella Abdulmasi from Northwest Sydney Spirit. Diagonal pass, looking for Darcy Ellum. Ellum working the one-on-one situation, but it's not one-on-one for long. Gets to the byline anyway, but skies the cross. By the way, and this is not really relevant to this game at all, but I'm going to say it anyway. Just that me talking about Ella Abdulmasi reminds me of one of my favorite Ella Abdulmasi anecdotes. Shout out to longtime Football New South Wales reporter Justin Davies for telling me this one. He remembers seeing her play in a futsal game with boys when she was very, very young. When she still very young, but when she was even younger. She was playing with boys. She scored 4 goals in this futsal game, and after every goal, she celebrated right in a different boy's face. And I think that's the kind of energy we need in Australian women's football. And we need players in A-League women who have at some point in their lives made boys cry. I think that's what makes A-League women better. Anyway, back to this game. As it's Cavallaro, Stewart's already forward in some kind of support, but Cavallaro has taken it a bit too wide. By the way, the Dulwich Hill bench, they are Shoma Nakagawa, Liam Spiropoulos, Steve Kuzmanovsky of Ultra Football fame, Jonathan Whitehead, Marco Balverde, and Sam Hilton. Now, Eunice will always be interested on that one. He was quick enough to make Mason Ingram go for the safety first play. That's half has flown by. I've really enjoyed my League One men's commentary experience this evening. I think I was described in the League One men's preview for this week as a marquee commentator, and Football New South Wales decided this was time for my annual League One men's call. It's probably the right thing to do as a former reporter of this competition, but when it was known as NPL2 men's, but yeah, really enjoyed it. As it's Kayumi, I think. And Kayumi, all the forward runs are covered, so only way is back, and then it'll be a tricky one, but well done by Dulwich Hill. Holder. It's exactly one handball shout, and now Dulwich Hill they'll take the attack instead with Bradshaw, but the heavy touch let Mason Ingram in to steal possession. Stewart with the throw, and Fox was clattered. That's going to be a free kick, and it might be more. Nicholas Farmer actually warning one of the Dulwich Hill goal scorers, Mikai Terata, but I think Nicholas Farmer certainly not a fan of that agricultural challenge there. Good, that's Harrison Fox. It's a heavy collision, but he is okay. We don't need to see the Nepean physio, and Harrison Fox will take his place in the mixer. As well notes that it goes low to Soars. Soars gets the ball in, but he did not keep it in play. Now, Narayan is going to go for distance from the restart. Flicks off Holder. Now, Dulwich Hill, and there's a ball. Well, that's it. Eunice, I was wondering why it was so wide open, and the easiest answer provided by the assistant on the far side, Oliver Leonfori, is that Eunice was offside. By the way, 0-0 at Cromer Park between Manly United and Marconi Stallions. And I think I was talking about relegation earlier on. It was an NPL men's Manly United. Certainly not safe yet. So even a point against a team in second place would be very valuable for the side coached by Patrick Zwanswijk. And what a player he was, by the way, Patrick Zwanswijk. One of my favorite A-League men's players of all time. Speaking of left-footed defenders, here's Richard Stewart. And Cavallaro has the wide option. That is Stewart. First-time cross, and it's over the Nepean option in the middle, but Dulwich Hill, rare one, that one, the ball's whipped into the middle, enough time to take a touch and send it into the fence. Back into the mixer from Martelotta, and that's sent away by, I think, Duvchevski. Holder. Now, well, Martelotta, I think, didn't really want to send it back to the keeper from the halfway line. Instead, he wins the free kick. Here's Ingram. Stewart staying high on the left-hand side for Nepean. That was Soars in possession. Holder. And Holder aiming for Martelotta. How's the bounce? He'll keep it in play. And the cross, I think the sting was taken out of it. So here's Green, and Green now just play for safety. Speaking of streams coming up, of course, might as well talk about another competition close to my heart, and actually a competition that Nepean part of. That's the women's second tier, League One Women's. And the match of the round in the women's second tier is Sunday, I believe, at 3 p.m. kickoff from Popondetta Park. It's a huge game for that promotion battle, Mount Druitt Town Rangers versus Bankstown City, as Martelotta with the Rory Delap right into the middle. Dulwich Hill strong defensively in the air, as here's Kayumi. Now Martelotta. Here's Elam. Martelotta looking for Crossley, I think. And, well, Crossley might get something here. As Dubchevsky's, in the end, he's done enough. And Green, again, plays it over the sideline. By the way, that's Tripodi down inside the penalty area, so as we had about 42 minutes played. We're going to have a pause in play, and there's the signal, so the Dulwich Hill physio will come on. By the way, going back to that League One women's match there, and yes, Sunday 21st, 3 p.m. from Popondetta Park, Mount Druitt Town Rangers versus Bankstown City. A big, could be important in deciding who gets promoted to the NPL women's competition, and as has been the case with a lot of League One women's games this season, this will be called by one of our favorite new commentators, Melissa Muscat, known as the Professor for reasons, because she's teaching us how commentary is supposed to sound. That's why. Melissa's very excited to call that Sunday 3 p.m. game in League One Women's, and I'm certainly excited to hear her dulcet tones as well. Now, and of course, Tripodi, good to see him back to his feet, but he'll have to be off the field. And it's a bit of an awkward one, potentially, for Dulwich Hill, as it's a real proper attacking set piece. For Nepean, Dulwich will have to defend this player light. And Martelotta, here we go. Here we go, another Megan Campbell impersonation. That's a pretty good one, as there's the flick from Fox. Soars. He's slowed down by Bradshaw. Now, work left. Stewart. And Stewart, the trickery, he couldn't shake off Larmour. So now it's a throw-in on the far side. I think that was Narayan as the backwards passes. He was urging his players to step up. But the ball's coming back. And the nice touch off the chest from Fox. And the shot from Soars. That's nothing to trouble Jerome Narayan. Now, Good to see Domenico Tripodi, a player that's done so much to influence the first half action with a goal and an assist. He's back on the field. Dulwich Hill back to their full complement of players. And we're just about into first half stoppage time, but there no fourth official in this competition, so the old school sporting experience, or the old school football viewing experience, where we just guess how much time added on there's going to be. I reckon about 2 minutes or so, based on what we've seen, as the header back, and he could caught Dulwich Hill out, but Narayan was quick off his line to make sure that there wasn't a chance for Crossley. Tripodi. Now it's played towards halfway, out of reach for Padawani, but Yunus cushions it nicely. Now he's Padawani, and that's not the contact he wanted, but Bradshaw's going to challenge anyway. No one knows where the ball is, at least for a couple of seconds. Again, looking for Yunus and Bradley Allen. Claiming the ball and getting on with it, because there's not much time left in this first half. Perhaps I might get one more shout out for a stream this weekend on Football New South Wales YouTube page. That'd be NPL Women's Action tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. from North Taramara Recreation Area. Northern Tigers versus Gladesville Ravens. I believe that is called by another new caller, another one we love to hear. Interlions under-20 superstar Annabelle Banfield. Now, boomed forward by Holder. Lamo lets it bounce, but there's not that much pressure directly on him at the moment. Now he plays it forward. And that decision goes Nepean's way. Also, we'll see how this goes. Lovely flick on from Fox to Stewart, and Stewart can't wrap his boot around it enough. But yeah, there's been some nice touches, nice target forward play from Harrison Fox in the first half. Like, I love a chested pass. He did that a couple of minutes ago. He's good with the flick on as well. So, despite the scoreline, I'd say this one is far from over. And keeping a key eye on this as well is it would be done by Rovers, as I said, currently in the promotion or relegation playoff spot. And I think they'd be cheering for some kind of Nepean comeback as well, so to minimise the gap between themselves and Dulwich Hill, who are currently one place above them. Fox battling away against two players. Now Ellen. Matalota. Now it's a foul against Kayumi, and yes. Knows Kayumi already on the yellow cards, so he's just moving away slowly from the situation, but I don't think there was really any chance of a second yellow being shown by Nicholas Farmer. So, another way, just one more shout out for a stream coming up. It's a Sunday 3 p.m. NPL Women's game, also at Jubilee Stadium. It's the first part of a doubleheader. It's Sydney Olympic versus Manly United in NPL Women's, called by Nicola Posder. So Nicola on double duty Sunday, because he's, of course, calling the men's game immediately after that Women's Olympic versus Manly clash. Header from Stewart. And Larmore, I think, happy to settle for the throw. Now, could be up for grabs here, but there's enough red jerseys for Nepean as it's sent towards Fox. And Fox, just unlucky one as he tried to escape the attention, but it's half-time here. And it's a case of so far so good for Dulwich Hill, leading by 2-0 over Nepean FC. Both goals came early in the 7th minute. Mikai Terata headed in off a pinpoint Domenico Tripodi corner. And 3 minutes after that, it was 2-0 to Dulwich Hill. Domenico Tripodi via the penalty spot. That's how we got to where we are as the teams head to the dressing sheds. This is Eric Subihano on the mic from the grandstand here at Cook Park in St Mary's. We'll take a 10-minute break, or roughly thereabouts, and then we'll be back for the second half. Welcome back to the second half of our Friday night League One men's broadcast from the heart of Western Sydney, Cook Park in St Mary's. Dulwich Hill loving things more as we head into the second period, leading by 2-0 over Nepean FC. But as they say, with half the game gone, there is half the game still to go, and still plenty of time, 45 minutes plus a little bit of stoppage time before we can crown a winner for tonight's men's second-tier clash. I think the last of the coaching staff just making their way back to the benches on the far side of the field. I don't think a change has been made at halftime by either coach, but anyway, there's the whistle. Away we go from Nicholas Farmer. We are underway. It really was the fast start for Dulwich Hill, which did for Nepean. And the visitors perhaps, they love winning that early throw. They might try and do likewise in the second period. So it should be Jonathan Green, who had a very good long throw and was the left back in the first half for Nepean. We'd think he'd be the one that's taking this one. But they're not really, they're not really pushing the tempo, although now he goes direct, looking for, I think that was Yunus. And in fact, the decision goes Nepean's way. So I might just do a reminder of the two starting lineups. Firstly, for Nepean, in goal, number 1, Brendan Allen. Looks like 4 at the back, so from left to right, number 31, Richard Stewart. Number 5, Mason Ingram. Number 41, Andrew Holder. And at number 2, Marcella Mattelotta. There's 3 in midfield. Number 18, Kamran Kayumi. Number 26, Kai Soares. And number 10, Matthew Crossley. And the 3 up front at centre forward, number 9, Harrison Fox. He's flanked by number 27, Andre Cavallaro. And number 24, Darcy Ellum. As here's Ingram. And I think it was Yunus anticipating the back pass, but instead Ingram turned the other way. Dulwich Hill on the move, though. And it's a good header from Stewart, rising above Bradshaw. But Bradshaw will get it now. And Bradshaw crosses into Stewart. Corner kick. So quickly, Dulwich Hill starting lineup. In goal for them, number 1, Jerome Narayan. The 4 at the back, from left to right, number 5, Jonathan Green. Number 25, James Dubchevsky. Number 3, Mikhail Tarata. And number 13, Dylan Larmour. 3 in midfield, number 12, Domenico Tripodi. Number 19, Zachary Fielding. And number 6, Daniel Padawani. And the 3 up front at centre forward, number 9, Mark Yunus. He's flanked by number 11, Harry Browell. And number 20, Jake Bradshaw. So this is normally about the time when I discover a sub's been made at halftime and I have to correct myself. But anyway, the corner is swung in dangerously and not dealt with as it headed towards the back post by Nepean, at least initially. But now that has been sent well to safety. And going around the grounds has been a goal at Cromer Park, so about 20 minutes left in that NPL men's game on the Northern Beaches. Manly United 0, Marconi Stallions 1, and possibly some tears beginning to run down the face of Manly United's very good-looking communications coordinator, but that's another story. Throw-in, and decent flick, but shielded well, as then Ingram plays it out of the box. Larmour was at least slowing up the attack, but then it was sent over his head. It's a good header from Tarata. He used that heading ability to open the scoring as Soares goes back to Ingram. Now across to Holder. Holder's going to run with it before he's met with some resistance. Then Martelotta scoops it up. Possibly a bit of miscommunication there for Dulwich Hill. Now Darcy Ellum far side. And Ellum loses out as Dulwich Hill double up on him. Now it's sent forward. And that, well, actually it was sent forward, but it had already gone out of play. And by the way, there is I just realized there is a photographer near where this throw is going to be taken. That his tolerance for the cold certainly a lot higher than mine, as that doesn't exactly look comfortable sitting on the cold and presumably damp grass by the fence. I'm sure the photos afterwards will be excellent, as there's the header from Holder. And Holder again, fouled by Yunus. Tarata sends it forward. Good header from Yunus. Has the support. It is in fact stopped by Maitalota, who goes back to the keeper. Now, a good header from Stewart. Initially found at least asked questions, but then Tarata sends it away. Just tackle from Bradshaw, but it will still be Nepean ball right in front of us, and a more easier action to film for today's camera operator, Willie, who is doing another great job as he always does, usually with the games in Western Sydney. But now Crossley doesn't get the decision he wants, so that will end up with Brendan Allen. He knows there's not a second to waste with Nepean chasing the game, and with the season going the way it is, a result, even a point from this position would actually be very valuable for Nepean, but that's a strong tackle. And I think, is that Tripodi finding himself the furthest forward? Now the support is coming. Here's Bradshaw. Nice run. And Stewart scrambles back, and Bradshaw delivers to the back post, but there isn't a run to meet that very teasing cross, and so it is a goal kick. Just quickly, I've spoken about streams coming up this weekend on the Football New South Wales YouTube page, and I might just, well, hold that thought as Nepean, this might break for them, and that's an interesting run. Here's the shot, and it's straight at Narayan. The positioning was spot on. I think that was Darcy Elam who had broken through. He'd escaped the attentions of the defence. The positioning from Narayan was spot on. And Darcy Elam, a man who has come to Nepean after spending time at Hills United, so moving from Hills United to Nepean. I can think of a fair few players who've moved the other way. Most recently, Lachlan Sepping, who has moved in the mid-season transfer window, and now is wearing yellow instead of red for the remainder of the season. Lachlan Sepping. Dulwich Hill building on the far side. Free kick coming up. Two in the wall. Could be a big moment. I think that's Tripodi. Has already set up a goal from a set piece this evening. Now, contemplating. There's plenty of his tall teammates to aim at. It's high and too high for all of those very tall teammates. Flick on from Fox. Therefore it's sent up into the cold night sky by Tripodi. Now, good target forward work from Yunus, and he's going to get up quickly because Padawani might be able to give Dulwich Hill something here. Across, Tripodi again. And now looking for Yunus, and Yunus gets to it first. Big chance for Padawani, and he scores. And Dulwich Hill with 3 goals, and it's looking more and more like 3 points. Tripodi broke it open once again. Great ball to Yunus. His initial shot was saved, but Padawani was following up and snuck it past the defender on the goal line. It's looking like a wonderful night in Western Sydney for Dulwich Hill, leading by 3-0 over Nepean. Yunus took a tumble, but it was a great header initially off a high ball to find Padawani's run. Eunice got up quickly. They worked it inside. I think Fielding was also involved in the build-up. There we go. As it was in the first half, Dulwich Hill scoring early in the second half. And 3 goals to the good over their hosts. Sideways header from Ingram, and everyone's appealing, and the decision goes the way of Dulwich Hill. Now, once it's getting close to the time when coaches traditionally like to make subs, so my first thought, I'm a long way away from those technical areas, so but forgive me if I take a while to figure out the newly introduced players. But anyway, he's Dulwich Hill. I think, is that Browl? Anyway, it's going to be a throw-in to the visitors. Now, I think they're going to leave this for Green, and looking like they're set up for another hurl in right into the blender, right into the middle of things. Eunice, the obvious target. Could be others, and there we go. That's a great long throw, and a couple of Nepean headers to get it away. Crossley, good ball, and a bit of room for Elam. Elam, was he clipped? Yes, he was. In fact, he's going to stay down. So Elam. Yep, there's the signal. So going to have a break in play while Nepean's number 24 is attended to. While it's good to see Darcy Allen back to his feet, I might just trying to quickly run through the rest of the games this weekend in this round 25 of League One men. So a couple of 5 p.m. kickoffs tomorrow, that being a Bankstown derby, Canterbury Bankstown versus Bankstown City at Jensen Park, also 5 p.m. tomorrow. University of New South Wales versus Mount Druitt Town Rangers. And then in the remaining 5 games of the round at 7 p.m. tomorrow, so Bonnyrigg versus Harcoa, SD Raiders versus Dunbar, Spartans versus Tigers, Inter Lions versus Bulls FC Academy, and MacArthur Rams versus Rydalmere Lions. So yes, this is definitely the league for fans of teams named after animals. The league led, of course, by Bulls FC Academy. As in it goes, and who's the touch-off last? Touch-off Dulwich Hill. So that is Nepean's first corner for tonight's proceedings. I might just drip feed these this weekend streams to you. So NPL Women's Action, 5 p.m. Sunday, a game I like to call the Tory Tumouth Trophy. RPL Leichhardt versus Sydney University, called by William Constantinidis from Lambert Park, home of Sydney's best barista. And here we go. Well, Nepean with the exact opposite approach to Dulwich Hill from corners. And look at that 6-yard box. That's as crowded as my commute to work in the morning. Best of luck to the Dulwich Hill keeper, Jerome Narayan. It swung right in there and dealt with well by Dulwich Hill. And they work the 2-on-1 as Martha Lotta cannot whip a second ball into the middle. Cavallaro. And Cavallaro, he finds Stewart, and Stewart has the cross blocked by Bradshaw. So another corner for the home side. And once again, a 6-yard box that looks a lot more like rush hour traffic. And then Jerome the Ryan, well, he's down on the ground. I think he's down on the ground. It's hard to see from here, but Nicholas Farmer has called a halt to proceedings. So while this is all sorted out, shout-outs to more women's coverage on Sunday for the Football New South Wales YouTube page. 5 p.m. Sunday, Blacktown Spartans versus MacArthur Rams, and Dave McDonald will be calling that from the Rudy Hill shipping container. Also 5 p.m. Sunday, a game I like to call the Battle of the Kids from Lake Macquarie Regional Football Facility. Of course, that's Emerging Jets versus Football New South Wales Institute. In-swinger from Martha Lotta, and out of reach for everyone, into the side netting. By the way, I might as well complete that NPL women's shout-out for Sunday. So also at 5 p.m. on Sunday from Macedonia Park on the south coast, Illawarra Stingrays versus Bulls FC Academy, called by Wollongong Sax boy Thomas Phillips. And then at 5:30 p.m. from the Arctic Circle, our beloved nickname for Spirit's home ground, it's Northwest Sydney Spirit versus University of New South Wales, called by Kate Orman. That's all the women's action you'll see this weekend on the Football New South Wales YouTube page. As I think that's Padawani trotting off. The man whose goal fairly recently has put Dulwich Hill in a commanding position with a 3-goal lead. Daniel Padawani substituted at about the hour mark. And let's see who is the player to come on. The usual Football New South Wales commentator ritual of waiting for that player to turn around. Do I see a 14 somewhere? I do. So it is Shoma Nakagawa. And it looks to be a straight swap. He's playing Nakagawa, the newly introduced player, playing just off Padawani. Just off Mark Eunice. So the role Daniel Padawani played quite well for the opening 60 minutes or so. And Nakagawa was straight into the action there, putting pressure on. And still putting the pressure on is Dulwich Hill. And the pass is blocked. And then free kick going to Dulwich Hill. I think that's a foul committed by Crossley. By the way, just massive tangent here, but relevant possibly only to myself and the other fan of Irish national teams in the commentary team, Dave Feeney. But I have seen on my social media feeds in the hold that thought as Trippidy sends it in, and it's too much weight on it. So a good claim from Brendan Allen, followed by a booming kick, a huge kick from Allen. But then Dulwich Hill at least pick up the scraps. Oh, yes, seeing that on my social media timelines in the qualifiers for the Women's European Championship to be held next year in Switzerland. The Republic of Ireland have drawn Georgia. Okay. So the Denise O'Sullivan, Katie McCabe, and Julianne Russell, so possibly coming to Tbilisi later this year. I think the first round of those Women's Euro playoffs will be in October. Anyway, that was a wild tangent, taking us literally to the other side of the world. So back to League One men's matters in Western Sydney. Now, Cavallaro got up quickly to take possession, and an interesting ball into the box here. Nepean had numbers. Dulwich Hill had enough by way of defence as Eunice looking for the runner, but that's not going to be reeled in by a teammate. So Larmore shuttling back to defence. By the way, I'm just looking at my DMs. Okay, so the way the draw, we've done the draws for the 2 rounds of Women's Euro qualifiers. Don't worry, I'm still paying attention to this game. So the winner of Ireland versus Georgia in the Women's Euro qualifying playoffs has to meet either Slovakia or Wales. Okay. So, could be tricky. Anyway. Here's Cavallaro. And by Nepean looked to have made a substitution as well, because I can see number 12, Dante Cervo, on the field. And defended well. So I see number 11, Jack Hoban, also on the field as well. So, yeah, this is the challenge of technical errors that are about 100 metres away from us, or possibly more, but got there in the end. Can't be offside from a throw-in, of course, but Positioning the flick is nothing to trouble Jerome Narayan.
Yunus has done well. Stewart hits the grass, wins the free kick. Sent forward. And Yunus, well, I mean, the ball was about to go out of place. And at that height, difficult for him to maintain any sort of possession. As here's Stewart, pressed by Nakagawa. Nakagawa finding Yunus. He returns the favour. Now to the edge of the box. And he gets a shot away, but it's wide. That's why you can see why Nakagawa was brought on at the hour mark. That's very lively stuff and linking well with Yunus. And even got the shot away. The remaining bench options for Dulwich Hill they are Liam Spiropoulos, Steve Kuzmanovsky, Jonathan Whitehead, Marco Balverde, and Sam Hilton. By the way, as I see seeing Steve Kuzmanovsky's name on the bench, so hopefully we can see him come on, make a late cameo, and chuck more than a few step overs. That's what I always loved about Steve Kuzmanovsky's game. It's like when I haven't played EA Sports FC in a while, and then I trying to remember what the right stick does. So I just play around with that for a bit. It's fun. It's also fun watching Steve Kuzmanovsky play, and also this talking about a man with a Macedonian surname who is, or someone with a Macedonian surname who is has worked at Ultra Football. So shout out to my friend Emma Ilioski, who has a similar surname and has also worked at Ultra Football in Alexandria. Now Crossley going back to Stewart. Stewart cuts inside the challenge. And now, interesting ball to Chauvo. Here's some space left side of the box. He clips it in. And the tackle lost its footing. And now, despite the scoreline, the Dulwich Hill fans to the right of our filming position being quite anxious to make sure that their players get the ball away from danger. Now, Narayan's up and he didn't get to it. So then, well, there's an interesting one there. It's the keeper out of position and they decided not to just let it run out for the corner, but it's worked out well in the end for Dulwich Hill. And then Yunus, that's kind of I don't know what the word is. You might call it the dirty work as a target forward, winning a free kick, and it's a great ball immediately to Bradshaw, but good body strength from Richard Stewart, despite the claims from the Dulwich Hill fans in the stand. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't you worry about that. That's good fullback defending. As Cavallaro, a couple of step overs, and swinger, and now Crossley didn't get the contact he wanted, and Narayan, well, I wonder if Narayan, now, shall we say, the final quarter of the game, Narayan with a booming kick straight to his opposite number. I wonder if Narayan, as the keeper with the lead, is going to start falling over every time he catches the ball. I suppose there's only one way to find out. Here's Bradshaw. Bradshaw, past Crossley, and cutting inside, looking for his options. To Nakagawa, and then they can't make it stick. Cavallaro switches. I think that's Herban. Herban just kind of runs into a blue and yellow cul-de-sac, if that makes sense. So we say, about at the 70-minute mark here.
If you've just joined us, of course, it's a Football New South Wales YouTube stream, so you can click back on the stream and watch anything you've missed. But it is Nepean FC 0, Dulwich Hill 3. Mikai Tarata opened the scoring for Dulwich Hill in the 7th minute. 3 minutes after that, the Domenico Tripodi made it 2-0. And then 10 minutes into the second half, Daniel Padawani made it 3-0. There's a brief summary for a much better summary of tonight's action and all the action for this weekend's League One men's games. Of course, keep an eye out for the Football New South Wales League socials. Sunday night, as that's a very heavy challenge. I think it's Cavallaro into the notebook. I saw one, possibly for Green. Now, I wonder if there's more subs being prepared by the visitors, or I wonder, was that just players coming over to get instructions? I haven't seen the assistant nearest to us, who is Jack Kelly, make the signal, so I think, yeah, nothing for me to worry about, at least yet, in terms of newly introduced players. There's a card being shown, so the foul, I think that's Jonathan Green who was receiving treatment. He does not need to leave the field. Now, here we go. I've had the chance to take a breather, so back underway with Narayan. Touch off Nepean. Martalotta. Martalotta prevents the corner. There we go, long throw coming up. Aimed at the near post. That's, I think, Martalotta away with the header, but back into the middle, and it could be a chance. It's 4-0. I think that's Eunice. Mark Eunice is making it a dream night for Dulwich Hill in front of the Football New South Wales cameras. There's the second ball back into the middle, and Eunice with an excellent first touch. And the second touch, equally as emphatic. Actually, apologies that it does look like it was number 11, Harry Brow, instead, who scored the 4th goal. My apologies to everyone, especially Harry. But the most important thing from a Dulwich Hill perspective is that they're looking safe to earn 3 vital points in this race to avoid the bottom 2 League One men's positions. And you might be able to hear the groans from the eastern suburbs. This Dulwich Hill upsetting both the western suburbs and the eastern suburbs this evening, because this is not exactly a fault that favours Dunbar Rovers. And Dulwich Hill possibly in for more, but it's defended on the right side of Nepean's penalty area. And then sent into the trees. Although I think it's hit, luckily for the Nepean Volunteers, it's hit a fence, because I can actually see where their ball is. It hasn't gone completely into the darkness. Now, subs coming up, so yeah. And it looks like Kai Soers is the player to make way. Apologies, not sure who's come on just yet. But anyway, the throw-in aimed at Cavallaro. Now the cross blocked. It looks like number 17, Rocco Cesari, is the new player. Now Dulwich Hill clearly in the mood. They haven't won since round 16. Another time when they scored 4 goals against a team from Western Sydney is round 16. And Dulwich Hill beat Blacktown Spartans by 4-1 at Arlington Oval, I think it was. That's their last victory of the season. Now, Nepean
looking to work things out from the back and at least create something positive from this evening. Although, there's Jake Bradshaw, energetic as always, defending from the front. Now, Larmore getting forward from right back. A double up, but Larmore is able to find Bradshaw as the open player. Now that was a bit under hit, and Stewart able to intercept. And then that's a free kick won by Cavallaro. Now that's, well, the straight ball at the back, intercepted by Dulwich Hill. Larmore. Now Tarata. And that ball, well, that's going to be swept up by Ingram. Now booming kick forward. Again from Allen, but, and then that's a great header from Holder, but, and Dulwich Hill being very hard and to get past at the moment. Here's Bradshaw and the cross. There's targets there, but there's the flick, and it would have been, I think it's a foul anyway, as signalled by Nicholas Farmer. By the way, full time at Cromer Park in NPL Men's, Manly United 0, Marconi Stallions 1. Now Dulwich Hill, a substitution coming up. I think it's Browl, Harry Browl, number 11, who's going to get an early mark. I think number 15, Liam Spiropoulos. I think I saw a 15. So Spiropoulos on for Browl. And Narayan again, showing good command of the penalty area there. Yunus kind of just escaped his clutches the ball. Now is the run from, is it Duvchevsky? Bradshaw stayed on side and tight angle. And Bradshaw hits the fence behind the goal. Stewart takes a deflection and finds Chervo. Stewart, but the 2-on-2 defending from Dulwich Hill is, well, a little bit too strong on that occasion. Yunus tracking back to defend. Concedes the free kick, and Nepean want to get on with it. There's the signal, and yes, Stewart straight into the middle, and there's the Dulwich Hill header. And it goes out on the far side. Another big throw. Now Cavallaro trying to pick up the scraps on the edge of the box. Now Hoban. And Hoban. Cross doesn't make its way through to a teammate. More Dulwich Hill substitutions. And not sure, I know Jake Bradshaw is one of the players making way. I think Jonathan Whitehead has come on. As is number 26, Marco Balverde. Now I think that means Dulwich Hill have used all their windows, so that's a shame. No Steve Kuzmanovsky this evening. Oh well. A bit of a late one, possibly off the ball, but Stewart now near the byline. Can't trick his way past the player, but then Stewart has won it straight back. I think that's actually the new player, Marco Balverde. The good one-on-one defending, as here's Chervo. And Stewart, yes, he does keep it in play. Sent away by Tarata, and then further away by Balverde. There. Well, sideways header from Nepean puts Ingram under pressure, and now Eunice looking for options. Ingram blocks the pass. Now Crossley. And Crossley, and it's an interesting ball here, and Narayan again right at the edge of this box, getting to the ball ahead of Hoban. And Dulwich Hill, both players and fans equally as keen. The result looks pretty safe, but they're keen for a clean sheet as well, which would really kind of wrap up their Friday night here in Western Sydney. I think that's Nakagawa. Whoever it is. Found it inside, and now down the left, Dulwich Hill go. As Peropoulos tries to shake off the defence in the middle, but the ball has gone out of play. Forward by Holder. Now, there's Dulwich Hill. They started definitely the stronger with 2 goals in the first 10 minutes. Looks like they're finishing the stronger as well. Here's Nakagawa. Swung in, and the header from Eunice, still alive, and it's turned in by Spiropoulos, I think it is, number 15. And that's 5-0 to Dulwich Hill. Again, they're picking up the scraps. I think Eunice's initial header was blocked. It was a great ball from Nakagawa. Spiropoulos was there to turn it home from close range. And certainly a night far exceeding any Dulwich Hill expectations. Even their most optimistic of fans would not have thought that this game would turn out the way that it has. Let me say, this 5-0 margin certainly hasn't made the Dulwich Hill fans to our right any less anxious whenever the Nepean work the ball into the middle. But here's Tripodi, good use of the body. Now, of course, it's opening up as things tend to do in the closing stages. Spiropoulos fouled. We'll get on with it, and here's Eunice. Eunice, I think, looking over the shoulder. The visiting fans equally keen for a 6th goal. And Eunice, good spin, and player free at the edge of the box. Spiropoulos, still. And he shoots it. I think was that deflected? Yes, it was. Corner kick. There's the signal once again. I think that's Tripodi. He goes near post, and there's the touch. It's all the way across the face of goal. And last touch of Nepean, another corner coming up. Those Dulwich Hill set pieces proving to be a handful this evening. By the way, I mean, I did notice this earlier, but I didn't want to say this because this young man was a little bit too close to me. He would have heard me talk about him in the commentary. There's someone here in short sleeve shirt, and yeah, I don't understand that. It's so cold here at St Mary's. As there's the header at the back post, and across the face of goal again before it's away by Stewart. A short sleeve shirt this time of year? Goodness me. Anyway. Valverde up against two, and the two win out. Cavallaro looking for the diagonal. And Green, well, that's going to be a foul. Yellow card as well. I think that actually might be the substitute Whitehead who's gone into the notebook. That's just one last shout out as we're winding down here in St Mary's. Yes, once again for the League One men's weekly review, which will contain details of this and the other 7 games to be played this weekend in, what is this, League One men's round 25. That will be available usually Sunday evening on the Football New South Wales League socials, and I'm looking forward to another excellent report from Justin Smith, who I know has been tuning in this evening. Now, long-range free kick coming up. He shoots, and Narayan watches it go wide. The effort there from Martelotta. And perhaps I might just cram through shout-outs of the streams. The rest of the streams you can watch this weekend here on the Football New South Wales YouTube page. So, firstly, let's start with the 7 remaining games in NPL men's, because, of course, we had one just finish a couple of minutes ago, but 3 NPL men's games tomorrow. 4:30 p.m, Sutherland Sharks versus Sydney FC, called by William Constantinidis. 6:30 p.m, there's St George City versus Western Sydney Wanderers. I believe that report is going to be done by Jack George, highly talented young member of our commentary team, as Nicholas Farmer gives them Dulwich Hill the hurry up from this goal kick, and then he's decided to book someone. So, being booked for time wasting, or for delaying the restart in the 88th minute with the score at 5-0. So, anyway, Mikai Terata has a goal. Has a yellow card to go with his goal that kicked off proceedings here tonight for Dulwich Hill. But yes, 6:30 p.m. tomorrow, St George City versus Western Sydney Wanderers. It's called by, other than the report there from Jack George. And then 7 p.m. tomorrow, Hills United versus Northwest Sydney Spirit. A dream team there with Dominic Crenidi, the clean-cut looking Dominic Crenidi on the mic, and Justin Smith doing the match report for that. Then 4 NPL men's games on Sunday. A trio at Sunday 3 p.m, Central Coast Mariners versus Blacktown City, called by the voice of Central Coast Football, Pete Pryor. Wollongong Wolves versus St George FC, called by Ireland's own Dave Feeney. And Sydney United at 58 versus RPL Leichhardt as Stewart swings it into the middle and is played away by Terata. That's Sydney United 58 versus RPL Leichhardt. That report done by Dominic Crenidi. He writes as well as he calls games. And then 5 p.m. Sunday, the latest of the NPL men's games for this weekend from Jubilee Stadium. Sydney Olympic versus Rockdale Illingdon, called by Nicola Posdo. And actually there'll be photography from Brett Nielsen, who does a great job for the Football New South Wales socials and others. Actually, I met Brett for the first time at the State Cup finals last weekend at Cromer Park. Nice guy. Anyway, Dulwich Hill looking for a 6th, then Valverde. I think he kind of misjudged that, but, enough room for him to retrieve it before it goes out of play. Works it inside. And Valverde again near the touchline. And I don't know, I'm not willing to credit that as a nutmeg. Nice try though, Marco. Also, quickly, the League One women's stream for this weekend, Sunday 3 p.m. from Poppendetta Park, where the Professor, Melissa Muscat, calls Mount Druitt Town Rangers versus Bankstown City. Across the box, and Nepean to temporary safety. Valverde wins the corner off Stewart.
And then one more time, drip feeding the NPL women's streams to you for this weekend. Tomorrow, 6:30 p.m, Northern Tigers versus Gladesville Ravens, called by Annabelle Banfield. And there'll be photography there from Dan Allman, a good friend of mine, and does a great photography for the Football New South Wales women's competitions. This actually is going to be Spiropoulos taking this corner kick. Well, I think that's the contact he wanted. And I think we're in time added on, though Nicholas Farmer hasn't looked at the watch. I haven't seen him so just yet, so we'll have at least a couple of minutes of stoppage time as Crossley blocked off by Tripodi. And then we'll go on, because Dulwich and Balverde have possession, threading it through. Eunice. How's his support? He's found Balverde, and Balverde doesn't get the contact he wanted. So here's Andrew Holder. Larmour. Now Tripodi. And offside against Eunice. Now, those other NPL women's games to be shown this weekend on the Football New South Wales YouTube page. 6 of them on Sunday, so 3 p.m. Sunday. Sydney Olympic versus Manly United, called by Nicola Posner, with photography to come from Brett Nielsen. Then 4 NPL women's games at 5 p.m. on Sunday. RPL Leichhardt versus Sydney University, called by William Constantinidis. Blacktown Spartans versus MacArthur Rams. We call that the Bethany Gordon Derby for reasons. Anyway, Blacktown Spartans versus MacArthur Rams, called by Dave McDonald. Also, the Battle of the Kids, Emerging Jets versus Football New South Wales Institute. That's at 5 p.m. Sunday. As is Illawarra Stingrays versus Bulls FC Academy, called by Thomas Phillips, a man as good with a saxophone as he is with commentary. And then 5:30 p.m. on Sunday from our beloved Arctic Circle in Macquarie Park, Northwest Sydney Spirit versus University of New South Wales, called by A-League Women commentary star Kate Allman. Great to have her in the Football New South Wales comps. Stewart. Chervo. Drifting in and shooting, but that's over the bar. And Dulwich are almost there for that precious clean sheet. You get to see Lockie France. Well, I mean, Lockie, a very patient man. He's persisted with my very silly tangents in commentary tonight. I do appreciate the support. Always good to get the messages from my friends tuning in, and good to know I've got at least a small number of fans. As Narayan, a booming kick out from the goalkeeper, from a goalkeeper at Cook Park. It's just like watching Sarah Easthope back in the day, and as Chervo tries to keep that alive, it's defended well, and that's a nice chop past the defender from Larmour, but then, actually, we'll go back to the free kick. Yeah, that's right. That's probably fair enough. Now, is this perhaps one last time into the blender, as Kate Allman likes to say? I like to say too now. Well, not quite. He's gone out wide instead, and Stewart pounces on the heavy touch from Balverde. That is foul by, it's called as a foul against Balverde. Big kick from Allen, header from Larmour. Now forward, and Stewart, just one last time overlapping. He's near the corner flag. Wins. No, that didn't go out. That's cross blocked by Tripodi. Cavallaro now. And, yeah, I was thinking that was an offside. And in fact, it's full time, so it's the first win since round 16 for Dulwich Hill, and what a time to keep their first clean sheet of the season. Dulwich Hill have defeated Nepean FC by 5-0 here tonight at Cook Park. Mikai Terata opened the scoring on 7 minutes, and 3 minutes after that, Domenico Tripodi made it 2-0 from the penalty spot, so 2-0 at halftime to the visitors. In the 55th minute, Daniel Padawani made it 3-0 to Dulwich Hill. Harry Browse scored in the 73rd minute to make it 4-0, and substitute Liam Spiropoulos rounded out the scoring in the 83rd minute with a nice close-range finish. We hope this isn't the last time you watch a Football New South Wales YouTube stream this weekend. There's plenty of men's and women's action tomorrow and Sunday for you to feast on, but it's time to sign off. So on behalf of Football New South Wales and tonight's camera operator Willie, this is Eric Subihano wishing you a good weekend and hope to see you soon on the Football New South Wales YouTube page. Take care, have plenty of good vibes, great coffee, sick tattoos, razzlers, and may your long trips in the cold be as successful as Dulwich Hills was this evening. See you next time.